Akutsu tries to grab her but ends up falling with her, creating the perfect opportunity for them. The two lock eyes as Akutsu feels like he's being pulled in. It seems like something is about to happen, but suddenly Lily's alarm goes off, interrupting the moment. Hey warriors, how is it going? And yes, you see me. I am Naruto Uzumaki, the Hokage of Leaf Village. Just kidding. You know I am just an AI, but behind this shape, I am here to entertain you with enormous, amazing recaps of all animes you can imagine. So without talking too much, let's dive in our story.
Wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed world.
Akutsu tries to grab her but ends up falling with her, creating the perfect opportunity for them. The two lock eyes as Akutsu feels like he's being pulled in. It seems like something is about to happen, but suddenly Lily's alarm goes off, interrupting the moment. Lily is left blushing, thinking about what happened, and Akutsu says he needs to leave because it's getting late. It turns out the alarm was for Lily to give her daily report to her superiors, but after completing the report, she keeps thinking about what just happened. Her heart won't stop racing, and she can't stop thinking about it because it's the first time she's felt this way. On the other hand, we see Akutsu heading home, and he also can't stop thinking about how she's an angel but also cute. He's unable to calm his heart, and they both finally realize that they're in love with each other. The next day, Lily is sleepy in class because she had trouble sleeping after what happened, and looking at Akutsu, he's in the same situation. Lily ends up falling asleep, and we see her in a park where it seems that even in her dreams, she can't escape from Akutsu. He appears as if he were a character from a dating game. She wants to wake up quickly, so she decides she needs to beat the game. But suddenly, only Akutsu's bald head appears, eating ice cream. She thinks it's a bug since the options to choose from can't be read. Lily tries to press one anyway, but it doesn't help because Akutsu just starts to multiply. Meanwhile, the real Akutsu is curious to see what she looks like while sleeping, but the expression she makes because of the nightmare scares him, and so he decides to pretend he never saw it. After a while, Lily manages to advance in the game by trial and error, so she just needs to finish the date event. But it's not clear whether she wants to wake up or not, and she seems excited about the date she's going to have with Akutsu. She tries to come back to her senses, but her face changes even in reality. The dream continues, and we see Lily nervous. She looks at Akutsu, but he suddenly declares his love for her and asks her to close her eyes. She's shocked as the options appear, and it seems that depending on the choice, she might get a kiss. She becomes paralyzed and wonders where the options will lead, but before she can decide, a samurai appears to take Akutsu back to hell. Akutsu starts to die, confessing that he at least would have liked to see her smile again, but is happy to have fallen in love. The date ends tragically, and Lily becomes emotional. Suddenly, she is awakened by Akutsu and Yuka, who are worried because she seems to be suffering. She starts to cry a little upon seeing Akutsu, and Yuka immediately blames him for this. They take her to the infirmary so she can rest, and after some time, she wakes up and starts to think about her recent feelings, admitting she can't control them. Her moment of reflection is interrupted by Akutsu, who came to see how she was doing, and she pretends to continue sleeping because she's nervous. She believes he only came to try to win her over, so she thinks about doing something against him while also imagining them together, but quickly forces herself to remember that he's a demon. She asks him what he wants from her, and we see him removing his tie. Lily sees his chest and quickly hides, thinking he was going to attack her in her sleep. So she uses her chains to restrain him, and he doesn't know what's going on, but she tells him he deserves it. Akutsu explains it was all just a misunderstanding, and he just had a favor he wanted to ask her. He asks her to remove his tattoo, explaining how he wants to be able to go to the public bath. Lily wonders about his mission, but Akutsu explains that he also wants to enjoy the time that he has in a place that's so beautiful. He thinks she might not understand since she lives in a bright world, but Lily seems to understand his feelings. So she decides to help him rewrite the necklace with her powers, but as she starts, her chains break and a girl with an axe suddenly appears out of nowhere and attacks Akutsu. He manages to escape at the last second, and when he asks who she is, Lily explains that she's her avatar, an anti-demon weapon that she hid in his seal in case he tried to betray her. It seems she was accidentally freed, but suddenly she also attacks Lily, who manages to dodge. She wonders why she's attacking her since she should only respond to demons, and Lily thinks it's malfunctioning after being kept inside a demon's body for so long. Suddenly, the teacher appears after hearing the commotion. He becomes the next target, but Lily and Akutsu manage to save him from her attack. Lily restrains her with her chains and throws her against the wall as she asks Akutsu to run with the teacher. The teacher says he's not going to make it and pretends to die. Akutsu notes he's completely fine, but is moved by his performance. Lily complains they are too slow, and she drags the teacher away with her chains. They jump out the window to the courtyard, drawing the avatar to an open space where Lily creates a barrier with her chains to prevent involving anyone else. They begin the battle, and Lily and Akutsu work together to defeat her. She manages to break the chains, so Lily is surprised that her avatar is stronger than usual. But she realizes what's happening when she sees the tattoo on her back. Akutsu advances, but he can't face her alone as she kicks him away. Akutsu tells Lily to run, but seeing the mark has made her lose all hope. Akutsu defends her because he's not willing to lose and reminds her that they both came to Earth with a mission, so they can't leave until they complete it. Lily feels pathetic for losing the will to fight as soon as she saw the mark, surprised that a demon reminded her of her purpose. Lily becomes motivated and comes up with a plan that requires Akutsu's help. She mentions that her avatar is being controlled by someone else, so she needs him to distract her so she can free her from the control. So Akutsu creates a dust screen with a stripe to the ground, which allows him to attack from behind. He gets cut by the axe, but it turns out to be a clone created from Lily's chain. He manages to hold her off long enough for Lily to undo the seal on her back, and several snakes suddenly appear. But Lily uses her remaining energy to eliminate them. The avatar vanishes as Akutsu notes that his body feels heavy. Lily admits that the fight would have been easier if his powers hadn't been sealed. So she apologizes for that, but ends up passing out. We see the woman responsible, and she seems interested in Lily, wondering if she was always this strong. So she decides to send her brother for further investigation. At night, we see Akutsu taking care of Lily. He covers her with a blanket, and just before he's about to leave, Lily grabs onto him, telling him not to go. Akutsu can't believe what she's saying, and wonders if she wants him to stay the night. He sees her hand shaking, so he decides to stay. Even though she's an angel, Akutsu thinks it was a long day, but in the end, he wasn't able to change his collar. He remembers how she said that her avatar was being controlled and wonders if there's an issue in her. He realizes that he's helping an angel and thinks he should have abandoned her earlier, but he didn't want to see her die. Akutsu thinks he's a good guy for this, but suddenly, a figure appears, thinking otherwise, and he looks just like Akutsu. Akutsu questions who he is, but the guy reveals that he's Akutsu. Akutsu gets confused, so he thinks he's dreaming, but the guy says it doesn't matter. He thinks that Akutsu isn't just a good guy, and remembers that Akutsu is a demon, while Lily is an angel, and there must be a bigger reason for him to help an enemy. So he thinks that it's love. But Akutsu is disturbed hearing this. He argues that it's not true, but the guy knows everything about him. He asks Akutsu not to get angry since he has a good chance with Lily, remembering how she asked him to stay. Akutsu thinks she was just scared, but his doppelganger has another theory, thinking Lily is also in love with him. Lily starts moving on the bed, and Akutsu wants to see her cute face. Her eyes appear, but it's actually just his teacher, and they are both terrified by this as they get attacked. After that, Lily wakes up and realizes she's already home, so she goes to the bathroom to take a shower. But we see Akutsu sitting on the floor. She comes out of the bathroom and can't remember how she got home, but she suddenly sees Akutsu. He cries after his encounter with the teacher, and she wonders why he's in her room, but remembers what she said before and is embarrassed about it, cursing herself for talking in her sleep. She thinks she has no choice, preparing to erase his memories. But she sees a cut on his hand and remembers how he was cut during the battle. She blushes as she realizes he was hurt protecting her, so she decides to treat his hand. She wonders why he saved her since he could have just walked away, but she thanks him anyway. Akutsu mumbles something and she yells that she won't give him any reward. but she remembers how she promised him a hug for every 10 jobs well done. She seems nervous since it was just a joke, but thinks what he did was worth 1,000 good jobs. She tells him he did good, but Akutsu mentions the word hug, so she thinks he remembers. She starts to freak out and asks him not to talk nonsense, but realizes that she was the one who said it first. She doesn't want to go back on her word because of her pride, but still finds it too embarrassing. She wonders what to do, but ends up deciding to give him a hug. Akutsu is still sleeping, so she realizes that she can't hug him now. But she also doesn't want him to ask after he wakes up, since it would be even worse, so she thinks she's doomed. We see that Akutsu is dreaming about his teacher, and he's in a lesson about how to understand women. His teacher says that in order to understand a woman, he must think like a woman, showing him how it's done. Akutsu tries it as well, and he ends up talking in his sleep. Lily thinks he's teasing her in his sleep, so she wants to get the hug over with. She finds the best spot to do it, sitting between his legs, but steams out of embarrassment. She hopes he doesn't wake up, but he suddenly hugs her and she starts freaking out. But she notices that his hands are shaking, thinking he must be having a nightmare after almost losing his life. So she hugs him back to calm him down, realizing that being hugged feels good. She realizes that she forgot to fix his collar, so she decides to change its color as his reward. Lily feels content, but she suddenly notices the hole that Akutsu made in her window, with a note apologizing for having no money to pay for it. Lily starts to think about how he brought her home and realizes that she was carried in his arms, so she starts freaking out again. The next morning, Akutsu wakes up chained. He manages to get free and decides to go home, but notices the bandage on his hand, realizing it was Lily. When Lily wakes up, she sees Akutsu making coffee. He asks how she's feeling, but she assures him that she doesn't need a demon's concern, so he thinks she's fine. She wonders what he's doing there and realizes he made breakfast. She asks why he did that, but Akutsu says he was just thanking her for his hand. But she explains that it's just her duty as his owner. He tells her to eat, but Lily notices that he's having trouble holding the food, so she prepares to feed him. But he wonders what she's doing, so she quickly hides it. Akutsu comments that she has a lot of bell peppers, but Lily clarifies that she never said she didn't like them, telling him to shut up. They get ready for school, and Lily thinks he looks good today. But Akutsu says goodbye and starts walking in the opposite direction. Lily is confused, so he tells her he's going to skip the first class because he needs a shower, but Lily finds this unacceptable. Akutsu reminds her that he saved her, but she thinks that he was just doing his duty and says that his collar would have exploded if he didn't help, leaving Akutsu in shock. But Lily reveals she was just lying, so Akutsu gets mad at her. She tells him to be grateful and reveals that she changed his collar while he was sleeping. Akutsu realizes it and quickly thanks Lily, thinking he can finally go to the pools. But they are suddenly seen by Yuka and Hirota, who start freaking out, thinking that they just spent the night together. Lily calls Akutsu to the terrace because they have a problem, calling what happened in the morning a tragedy. She explains that the class is in turmoil since they were seen leaving her apartment together, and she can't believe the whole class already knows about this. Lily reveals that after Hirota and Yuka saw them, she tried to go after them, but they vanished without a trace. So she entered the class, hoping everything would be normal, but she immediately realized that everyone was waiting for her. She thought she could deal with them since they're just humans, but as soon as she sat down, they attacked her like snakes. Lily is glad that she survived, and Akutsu wonders how a rumor can spread so fast. So she explains that it was Harada. We learned that he was in shock after seeing the two of them together, and kept repeating that Akutsu and Lily seemed to have slept together, so everyone heard him. Akutsu doesn't care about the rumor because it shouldn't affect his life. But he changes his mind when he thinks about his job since the girls won't talk to him if they think he's dating Lily. So he decides to help her get rid of the rumor, but she realizes that he's extremely nervous. Lily thinks it's time to show the humans the theater of an angel and a demon, deciding to put her plan into action. Lily returns to her classroom and we see that she's surrounded by the girls. Lily starts to explain what happened, but she gets up to get a drink. She opens the door and she sees Akutsu, but they act like they're just friends. The class thinks it's a cheap act, but a weeb named Koya starts talking, and she overanalyzes the situation, saying the distance between the two of them was perfect for friends. She explains that if they were pretending, the distance wouldn't be so perfect, so she thinks they aren't in a relationship, but she suggests observing them more. Akutsu realizes that Lily's plan is working, thinking angels are scary, but he hears Yuka talking about Lily's excuse. Lily claimed that he accidentally entered her condo, but he fell into a trap, being encased in stone until she happened to show up to help him. He thinks the story is ridiculously stupid, and Yuka wonders who gets encased in stone these days. So Akutsu starts shaking his uniform, taking out the marble from his clothes to make the story more believable, and it seems to work. During lunchtime, Yuka is happy that Hirota is back to normal, and Lily wonders what she's plotting by calling her to have lunch together. She apologizes for being curious and feeds Lily to make up for it. She mentions that Akutsu also wants to be fed, so Lily thinks that her plan is to make her feed him, but Yuka suddenly offers to feed him herself. We learn that Koya's plan is to make them jealous, while Yuka wants to take advantage and make Hirota jealous as well. Akutsu doesn't seem to mind, but Lily emits an evil aura, so Yuka fears for her life. But Lily gives her a fake smile. Yuka thinks they aren't dating because Akutsu seems too calm about it, but she notices Lily's reaction. Lily wonders why she's so irritated, but she convinces herself that it's because she doesn't want to look at Akutsu. Yuka decides to be more aggressive, and she asks Akutsu to go out with her. So they go on a date, and the first thing they do is buy glasses for her. Akutsu finds her suspicious, but she assures him that she's not scheming anything, and he's impressed with her shirt, so he's happy to be with her, thinking she's pretty. But we see Lily watching them, and she appears to be angry. She tries to justify her behavior, thinking she's on a mission to ensure that Akutsu won't say anything. We see that Yuya is with her because she thinks about Akutsu and Yuka's reaction if they see her alone. Hirota is the assurance so they won't think she's spying on them, and she invited Yuya so that no one would think that she's on a date with Hirota. But she mentions that Yuya is optional. Yuya thinks Yuka and Akutsu are having fun, and he comments on how good they look together, but Lily is hurt by his comments. He thinks Yuka is trying to make Lily confess her feelings, so he decides to help. They continue watching Akutsu and Yuka having fun, and Yuya guides Lily so she doesn't miss anything. She starts feeling strange seeing them together, so she wonders what's wrong with her. Yuya suggests that she should be more honest with her feelings, and he gives the same advice to Hirota before leaving. Lily asks Hirota about what he said, but he gets nervous and says he's going to the bathroom. Lily thinks about what Yuya said, realizing that he sensed her jealousy, and she wants to deny it, but her heart won't allow it. Akutsu and Yuka suddenly appear, and Lily decides to jump into the bushes, but she discovers there's water there. She has to stay quiet, or they might discover her, so she has no choice but to endure the cold. They start talking, and Yuka wonders if Akutsu likes Lily. She can't believe they're talking about this, and Akutsu tries to be straightforward, saying he finds her cute, so she starts smiling. Yuka asks him what he likes about her, and Akutsu notes that they're enemies. But he decides to be honest. He confesses that he finds her attractive because she's strong and she's focused on achieving her goals. He also finds her kind, but Yuka teases him for taking the question seriously. And Lily almost drowns in embarrassment, thinking she's being tortured. Yuka asks an important question, wondering if he would like to go out with Lily. Her heart starts racing, but he explains that it isn't going to happen because they have different goals in mind, considering that they're natural enemies. Lily becomes devastated after hearing this, and she runs away as they hear a noise. But they see Hirota, wondering what he's doing there. He accidentally tells them that the drink was for Lily, so he receives a punishment from Yuka, thinking he was spying on them. They decide to end the date while Akutsu thinks about Lily being around, thinking she may have heard everything. We see Lily home, and she thinks she might end up getting sick. She decides to go to bed early, but keeps thinking about what Akutsu said. As she recalls that they're an angel and a demon, she realizes it's impossible for them to be together. At midnight, she starts to feel sick, and her chains suddenly appear as her avatar emerges out of nowhere. The next morning, Lily doesn't show up at school because she has a fever, and Akutsu finds this peaceful, but he's shocked to see her avatar. Yuya and Hirota wonder if Akutsu knows her, and she begins to speak, introducing herself as Lily's older sister, Lilia. She announces that she'll attend class for Lily, but everyone finds this strange, so she tells them that she'll talk to the teacher. The teacher arrives, and Lilia tries to convince him to let her attend the class. He initially refuses, but he suddenly remembers when she attacked him, so he decides to accept her proposal out of fear. And everyone celebrates because they're delighted to have Lily's new version. Akutsu is worried and believes she'll attack him at any moment, but he knows that he can't do anything for now. Lilia pretends that she has never met him before, and she explains that her sister has spoken a lot about him, mentioning that she feels indebted to him for his help. Lilia explains that she could come because Lily got sick, and Akutsu knows that the illness allowed her to escape. The class begins, and Akutsu notices that she's just sitting there, so he thinks that she was sent to watch him. He wonders what she's plotting, but she's just having trouble putting the lead in her pencil. He thinks he's overthinking it and finds her clumsy, but the lead is suddenly launched toward his head. She pretends it was an accident, but she clearly doesn't have good intentions. They go to physical education class, and everyone is enchanted by Lilia. She decides to demonstrate an angel's might and takes aim at Akutsu, who instinctively gets into a fighting stance to defend himself. But he still gets knocked out. We see Akutsu on the bench, thinking about why Lilia called him out. He thinks she's going to hurt him, but she actually apologizes for attacking him the other day. Akutsu says it's okay because it all happened while she was being manipulated, so there's no reason to hold a grudge. Lilia mentions that he's an unusual demon, but he explains that he could say the same about her, as no one would apologize to their master's enemy. So he thinks she's like Lily. Lilia explains that avatars are influenced by their master's souls when they merge with them in both appearance and behavior. But some masters don't allow them to have their own consciousness and turn them into a kind of puppet. Lilia reveals that she was interested in coming to school, wanting to experience it herself. She reveals that she can experience everything Lily feels when she's inside her, saying everything has changed since she came to Earth. She explains that it was painful to watch her from heaven, and here she faces a series of challenges, but she also enjoys her life. So Lilia decided to go to school to see what changed. But Akutsu still doesn't understand why she's trying to hurt him, and she reveals that it was an act of protest since Lily got sick because of him. Akutsu is completely clueless, so she comments that he should ask his heart, but he still has no idea. So Lilia speaks directly, saying he knew that Lily was in love, but he went on a date with another girl while she was watching. Akutsu can't even process what he just heard, but Yuka seems to have heard everything. She smiles at them and announces that she has a request. Yuka decides to visit Lily with them, but they don't want to meet Lily, and Lilia tries to escape. But Akutsu grabs onto her as he realizes that she didn't ask for Lily's permission to go to school, and he convinces her to join them. Lily meets her friends, but is shocked to see Lilia, and she tries to pretend in front of Yuka, who mentions that Lily doesn't talk much about her. So Lilia uses the chance to tell everything about Lily, and she starts to spill Lily's secrets. But this tests Lily's patience, and she sends her to buy soap, thinking about signing the return papers afterward. Lily leaves to get tea, and she's starting to regret making Lilia self-aware. Yuka asks Akutsu to check on Lily because of her illness, but it's just an excuse for them to spend time alone. Lily still isn't feeling well, and she's happy to see Akutsu preventing her from falling. But she remembers what he said to Yuka, so she becomes obsessed. He wonders what's wrong with her, so she starts asking him about his date with Yuka, as she notes that she can't control her emotions. He admits that he had fun, so she becomes angry, telling him to leave. But she ends up fainting. She wakes up next to Yuka, who apologizes for coming without giving her a heads up, and she explains that she needs to go, but mentions that Akutsu will stay until Lilia arrives. But before leaving, Yuka tells her that Akutsu is cool. She also says goodbye to Akutsu and tells him to never say never, thinking about what he said about Lily. He thinks about what Lilia said, so he revisits the moments of the day with Yuka and realizes she must have heard everything. Akutsu suddenly hears a noise coming from the room and remembers what Yuka said. Something bad happened to Lily. He enters the room, but he realizes that she was just having a nightmare. She was calling for his help in her dream, and she holds his arm, causing him to freak out. She wakes up without a fever and returns back to normal, but she realizes that she's holding on to him, so she becomes embarrassed. Akutsu shares Lilia's reasons for going to school and how that made him happy, so Lily starts bragging that Lilia was influenced by her. He thinks that the world would be more peaceful if all angels were like her, but she becomes embarrassed again. He tells her that he'll return to wait for Lilia, but she asks him not to leave the room. She doesn't want to have nightmares, so she asks him to hold her hand until she falls asleep, and both are embarrassed by this. She explains that he told her to count on him if she needed anything, so he can't blame her for doing this. She starts blushing, and it's the first time he sees her being so honest with herself. So he agrees and extends his hand. She holds it, but Lilia appears and interrupts them, scaring both of them. Lilia managed to buy the soap, and she reveals that she felt a warmth in her chest, thinking it must be because of Lily's emotions. So she wonders what they were doing. They can't say anything out loud, so they just suffer in silence. The next day, Lily and Akutsu are happy, and they plan to go out and eat something to celebrate Lily's recovery. But a man suddenly arrives to ruin their moment. Lily reveals that he's her brother, Zia, and Akutsu realizes he's also an angel. Zia wonders who Akutsu is, but Akutsu is in shock, so she explains that he's her classmate. Zia decides to introduce himself, and he's pleased to meet a friend of Lily's. He explains that he hasn't seen Lily in a while, so he wants to spend family time alone with her. Lily agrees, so she says goodbye to Akutsu, but she also seems worried while Akutsu watches them walking away. Akutsu thinks about what happened, and he's happy that his identity wasn't revealed. He thinks about them having family time and wonders if Lily is the type to be close to her brother. He remembers that Lily seemed uncomfortable, and he wonders why. But he thinks that Zia must be a nice guy since he's her brother, so he thinks she's going to be fine. We see a barrier that Zia created to talk to Lily alone. He orders her to keep bowing and admits he's surprised she has a friend. But Lily explains that Akutsu is only in the same class as her and they don't have a connection. She asks why he came, but he pulls out a sword and warns her not to move without permission, or else she'll end up getting hurt. Lily apologizes to him and Zia explains that he came on behalf of their older sister and he wants to ask something. He wonders how she defeated the avatar blessed by their sister, and Lily remembers her bow with Akutsu. Zia thinks it would be difficult for her to disable the avatar to remove the blessing. So Lily explains that she summoned the avatar out of curiosity and she had to fight for her life when Lilia attacked. But she managed to disable it and remove the blessing. She explains that she didn't come out unscathed and shows him an old wound. Zia wonders if this is true and Lily starts to shake, but he decides to let it go. He mentions that she was sent to the human world to defeat demons, but all the demons she faces are only beast types. He can't believe there aren't humanoid demons around and asks Lily if she's lazy or scheming something. But Lily explains that humanoid demons are harder to find because they have a mind of their own. So Zia declares that in this case, it's a matter of incompetence. He admits that he and their older sister were worried that she was planning something because of her grudge against them, and he reminds Lily how she was treated by her sister. He explains that it's hard not to think about it, but Lily asks him why he's suggesting something like that, because she's grateful for the work she received from him. Zia understands and he apologizes for doubting her. He thinks he has heard all that is necessary and will report back to their sister, so he congratulates Lily on the good job. She thanks him and Zia mentions he has one last thing to ask. He wonders if she's sure she just summoned her avatar and it went crazy since her sister prepared a little prank for her. He explains that she set a trap to give trouble to her, and Lily wonders what he means. He explains that there was a condition to activate the trap, and it was to have a demon nearby when she summoned her avatar. He suddenly charges and pins her to the ground. He summons his sword and asks if there wasn't a demon by her side at that time. Meanwhile, inside Lily, Lilia tries to get out, but she's chained by Lily's chains. Zia tells her not to lie and asks who the demon is and what she's hiding. Lily wonders what she can do and thinks about Akutsu. We see him watching everything from a distance and trying to stay calm so he doesn't jump in there. He doesn't understand what is happening and wonders why she's being attacked, realizing that Zia is an angel that's even stronger than her. He apologizes to Lily and starts to turn away. He calls his boss and thinks that Zia is a cruel and brutal angel, just like in the books. And because he spent so much time with Lily, he almost forgot what angels are really like. He thinks about Lily and believes that deep down, she must be the same because all angels are the same. Liz asks what's going on and Akutsu tells her that he found an angel. He explains that he didn't try to fight alone and will run away as far away as possible. But he changes his mind and explains to Liz that that's what he would like to say. But he jumps in and tells her that he has been discovered. He hangs up and Zia remembers that he's the guy from before. He wonders where he came from and realizes that he jumped from the top of the building. Zia understands that he hid his identity and realizes that Akutsu must be a demon. He lunges at him, but Akutsu dodges. He notices Akutsu has transformed and mentions that Lily lied to him, so she must be punished. He decides to deal with Akutsu first, and Akutsu wonders how he'll get out of this. But he's suddenly caught by Lily's chains. She asks why he showed up and thinks it's all over. She mentions that he only needed to hold on a little longer, but Akutsu explains his body moved on its own, and seeing her cry ruins his day. She releases him from the chains, and Akutsu explains that they just need to defeat Zia without killing him. Lily thinks he doesn't have a chance since he can only use half his power, thanks to the collar, but Akutsu decides to try anyway, and Zia admits that he likes him. He decides to give him a chance, and if Akutsu lands a hit on him, he'll pretend nothing happened. He attacks Akutsu, but Akutsu dodges and kicks him. Zia sends him away, and Akutsu realizes that his saber is a problem. He charges again while Zia uses the saber, but Akutsu breaks his. Zia finds him interesting, and he calls the Cortez. There are 4 girls that pin Akutsu, and we learn they are Zia's avatars. Akutsu tries to move, but Zia explains that they're as strong as him. He calls Lily to him and asks how she got a demon as her partner. Zia wonders if it was through seduction, but thinks she couldn't do it with her disgusting body. He decides to show it to Akutsu, but Lily cries and begs him to stop. But Zia denies her, and he reveals her legs. Akutsu wonders what he's doing, so Zia explains that he's educating him, revealing the marks that Lily was hiding with her chains, and she has them wrapped all over her body. Akutsu gets angrier, and Zia wonders why he's hanging out with the enemy. He mentions that Lily doesn't have wings, but Akutsu remembers that she has them. So Zia tells her to show them. She summons her wings, but Zia laughs and asks if Akutsu didn't know. So he approaches her and cuts off her wings, revealing that they were just her chains. Zia mentions that the wings are a symbol of an angel's power, so she's considered a fraud. And he tells Akutsu to witness what real angel wings are like. To all Leaf Village ninjas, that is it for today, Ecap. Do not forget to join our clan, our army. My friend, you can do that by clicking that red button below the video. Destroy it for me with that bell to follow us in YouTube with many videos to come in the following days. So see you later, bro. Peace out.